Hello and welcome back. Now that we've covered report formats, let's take a look at some of the Reporter Builder basic features. We're going to look at customizing columns, filters, groupings, summarizing fields, summarizing columns, and adding charts. So let's head into Salesforce. So here we are in Salesforce and we're just going to create a report for opportunities. So we go to Reports, we click New Report, and then we're just going to choose Opportunities and we'll hit Start Report. Now from here we can see that we have the update preview automatically switched on, which is quite important. It allows us to see the changes that we're making. And what we're going to do is we're just going to change our close date. So we're going to change our close date to all time. And that's going to show us much more data, which makes it a lot easier for me to show you what we're doing. So we'll head back to outline. And the first thing that I want to show you is adding and removing fields or columns, because fields become columns. So what we can do is we can go to the columns bit here and we can type whatever column it is that we want. So we could type in closed, for example, and we'd be able to see closed. To remove a column, it's dead easy as well. We can just hit the X and that will get rid of it for now. Another way that we can add fields is if we click this pop out here to show fields, we can then scroll and find whatever it is that we want to find. So again, there's quite a few different ways of adding columns. It's quite useful. Next, let's talk about filters. If we click on filters, we can start filtering data in our reports so we only see what we want to see. For example, we could add the filter of closed equals true. So closed equals true, and we could hit apply, and that way we're only seeing closed deals. We could change the opportunity status to only closed won deals, or we could change the filter to show only my opportunities. There's a lot you can do with filters to make sure that you're seeing the information you want to see. We have covered filters in this course a couple of times through navigation and other parts, but just as a quick refresh, the way that filters work is you would choose your filter, so you choose what you want to filter by, so for example, amount, and then you would apply your filter. But before you do that, you need to set the operator and then you need to set the value. So that's how you apply filters. So let's create a filter to demonstrate, and we're only going to show opportunities where the amount is greater or equal to £100,000. So we've already selected the amount field. For the operator, we're going to put greater or equal to, and then we're going to put in £100,000 here, and we'll hit apply. And as you can see, we're now only seeing records where the amount is over £100,000 and they are closed. Now let's remove these filters and let's move on to the next part, and that is sorting columns. So column management is quite important and it's dead easy to do. If you want to remove a column, as we've already seen, you can just hit the X and that'll get rid of it. If you want to rearrange them, you can as well. You just drag and drop them. So you can drag and drop them there, or you can drag and drop them here. Now, I do generally find that dragging and dropping them around here is the easiest way of doing it. But again, everyone's different and it's whichever one that you find best. Next, we have groupings. So to group by a column, all we need to do is drag that field into the group row. So we could either drag the account name up there if we wanted to, or what we could do is type it in as well. So if we just type in account and select account name, all of our data is now being grouped by account. And what we've now done is move from a tabular report to a summary report. And that's give us a few options in this new bottom bar here. So we have row counts, which is just counting the rows, so counting how many records we have that is under that. We have detail rows, which we could use to toggle the details on and off. We also have subtotals, which gives us this subtotal row. So if I turn that off, you can see we don't have any subtotals, but if I turn it on, we now have the subtotal row. And then we also have grand total. So if we go down here, we can see this total there. If I turn it off, we no longer have that. And if I turn it back on, we do have that. So the next thing that I want to cover is summarizing fields. So what do I mean by that? Well, if we click the drop down next to the amount and we hit summarize, we can then choose to summarize by sum, average, max, min, and median. If we chose sum, that's going to add the total up. If we chose average, it will take the average, and then we would have maximum, which is the maximum value, minimum, which is the minimum value, and then median, which is the median value. So we're just going to select sum for now, just so you can see how that looks. And you can see that these are being summed up as the subtotals here. So we have the subtotal for edge communications. We also have the total and the grand total here. So we're seeing a grand total of all of our records. We can also group by dates. Now, to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the close date field. which is over here. And I'm just going to click the drop down and I'm going to click group rows by this field. And you'll see that we're now grouping rows by this field. Now, what's really cool about this is if we hit this drop down, we can group dates by day, calendar week, calendar month, calendar quarter, calendar year, and many more options. So we have quite a few options. And then when you do that, it just helps you show them. So this is really easy and really useful for us to do. We can group by up to 3 fields. So if we go to groups again here and we type in stage and we put stage in, you now see that we have even more groupings. So again, this is really useful and you're starting to see the power of reports now. But all this data is all right on our page. But how can we quickly visualize that? Well, that is where we then add charts. And before we dive into charts and too much information, let's just have a quick recap of what we've seen here. So with Report Builder, there are quite a few basic features. We can customize columns, so we can add and remove fields. We can add filters to make sure we're only seeing the data we want to see. We can add groupings. We can summarize our data as well. And we can also add charts, which we're going to cover in the next session.